Hello everyone, my name is George Nobeci and I'm a photographer. You've probably never heard of me, and that's okay. I'm certainly not a household name. But over the past few years, I have had the privilege of living a life as a photographer and interviewing some of the world's great masters, and that has brought me to this moment when I'm able to share with you these inspirational stories from everyday people that speak to the power of photography to change lives and the world around us. This program is dedicated to all of you around the world who share this passion for photography. This is Reflections. Some of you may already be aware, but this project came together in 2022 to mark the 10th anniversary of Fujifilm's X-mount cameras. Usually, Fujifilm videos feature professional photographers working on the front lines. I'm sure that many of them have been sources of inspiration and recipients of your admiration, as they have for me. However, Reflections turn the spotlight on people whose lives have changed through photography, regardless of whether they are professionals or amateurs who simply love taking photographs. In fact, I am one of those people whose lives were changed through the power of photography. Until the age of 34, I was a Wall Street trader, sometimes responsible for trading hundreds of millions of dollars of orders in a single day in what was a stressful environment. Despite studying to be a teacher, I entered the world of finance out of university due to difficult circumstances in my family. But I knew the office life was not my true calling, and I kept searching for my purpose in life until photography found me, and in many ways saved my life. After a dozen years, in 2014, I walked away from my career and my home in order to follow the path to becoming a photographer. Of course, there have been some high points as well as some very low points along the way, but I have never once regretted my decision to pursue this path. We have this one chance at life, and for me, photography is fulfilling in ways I never imagined possible. And so I stride forward, always with photography by my side. But I am about one of 10 photographers from around the world with similar passions who appear in this project. Most of us are not professional photographers. We are teachers, musicians, models, engineers. Our backgrounds are diverse. 10 years of X-mount, 10 inspirational stories. Let's meet them together.
Yo resurgí como el ave fénix.
When I left finance and wandered the world with my camera in hand, photography has been my best friend.
Artık mesleğimden emekli oldum ve tüm zamanımı fotoğrafa ayırıyorum.
Tôi nhận ra được là cái sở thích của mình có thể.
I'm always looking for different ways to express what I feel, and I found that in music and photography.
Based sa mga photos ko, gusto ko talagang mag-take ng mga dreamy, medyo mystical.
Aquí me encontré algo muy particular y fue que comencé a disparar una cámara en lugar de un arma. Entonces,
it became something really important to me because I saw this as a way to not only love what I do but also impact the lives of other people in the process.
If you want it, you can have it and you can get it, and that's currently what I'm doing.
저는 원래 패션 모델로 활동을 했어요. 제 사진으로 태어나서 생일 다할 때까지 이야기들을 기록해드리고 싶습니다.
I'm fortunate to be chosen as one of these 10, representing Japan, but the reality is that it could have been anyone. There are thousands of people around the world, nay millions, who have been inspired by and find life's true value through connecting with photography. It most certainly could have been you who are watching this film at this moment who would be here in my place. Or perhaps you also may have been saved in some way by photography. Sometimes life can hit us hard, and at times we can become trapped in our own minds, doubts, or grief. At times like these, we can reach for our cameras to find our way forward, out of the darkness and toward the light. This was the case for Pilar Silvestre of Spain. Overworked and overstressed, Pilar suddenly found herself struggling with her mental health. For about 7 years, she lost the ability to go outside and confined herself to her home. Treatments would not work, and doctors could not help her. Until one day, they suggested she take up a craft. she chose photography and picked up a camera. This was the catalyst for a major improvement in her condition. As she had been a swimmer and water polo player, she chose the familiar surroundings of the pool as a safe place to begin her exploration of photography, which she learned all by herself. And just look at the amazing images she produced that combine dramatic light and shadow, rich and detailed layers, and artistic yet precise compositions, which all set the stage for these divers to be photographed in their decisive moments. Pilar explains that finding solutions to photographic problems helps her in her recovery and forward progress. Let's hear more about what she means from Pilar herself as we're connected to her live from Barcelona. Hola, Pilar.
Good afternoon. Hola.
¿Cómo está?
Bien, bien, gracias. George, thank you.
Yeah. Pilar, I'd like to speak to you a little bit about your past and the difficulties that you experienced when you were not able to go outside. Would you be able to tell us a little bit about that?
Vale. Tal y como expliqué en el vídeo Reflections, ¿vale? En el 2005 tuve un brote de estrés agudo que me dejó sin memoria. Perdí la memoria inmediata y con ello todo lo relacionado con ella, que es la orientación, ¿cómo se llama esto? El vocabulario, no podía leer libros, etcétera, ¿vale? Entonces, a los 2 años del diagnóstico, yo no reaccionaba a la medicación y el médico me dijo que íbamos a intentar hacer trabajos manuales con mi cerebro, sin tener que leer. Y me ofreció la pintura o el dibujo y yo elegí la fotografía.
It must have been so difficult with memory loss and unable to even read things and so on. Must have been such a difficult time. I'm curious if there were any reasons why you chose the path of photography as opposed to painting or some other arts.
Sí, porque le dije, la pintura es muy lenta para mí. Y años atrás, cuando yo era muy joven, intenté hacer algo de fotografía, pero no seguí, no hice nada. Ya, entonces empezaba de cero. Pero pensé que la fotografía me podía ayudar a trabajar mi cerebro.
Yes, I can understand that. But I was curious if there was a point, like a moment along that time when you realized that photography was a way for you to move forward through your progress in recovery, or if it was a gradual process.
A ver, yo empecé en mi casa, en mi jardín, haciendo flores, y solo me interesaba en un principio el aprender a manejar la cámara, ¿vale? La profundidad de campo, la velocidad, tal. Cuando me vi un poco ya preparada, empecé con los insectos a perseguir insectos, ¿sí? Y llegó un momento que dije, tengo que salir a la calle, y se me ocurrió que las piscinas, yo he sido nadadora, y las piscinas eran como si fuera mi casa, y se me ocurrió que era un lugar conocido para mí y que posiblemente me ayudaría a empezar a salir de casa. Y empecé a hacer fotografía deportiva.
We can see in your photographs a number of things coming together. Dramatic light, stunning compositions with the city of Barcelona in the background. The moment, the decisive moment, everything comes together in those photographs.
Muchas gracias. Realmente es un trabajo importante en mi forma de fotografiar el tema de la composición, porque yo la foto deportiva de por sí, llegó un momento que ves que todo el mundo hace más o menos la misma fotografía. Los fotógrafos deportivos en una competición nos ponen en un espacio muy pequeño, todos juntos. Por lo tanto, todos acabamos haciendo, digamos, las fotografías muy parecidas, ¿no? Y eso a mí no me gustaba. Yo tenía que buscar otra forma de ser más creativa. Y lo hice jugando con la composición en saltos y tanto en competición como fuera de competición, en los entrenamientos entre ellos. Muchos elementos en movimiento que me ayudaban a aprender a componer, ¿no? A hacer la composición, y en sí la composición ha sido para mí la parte más importante de la fotografía porque me obliga a concentrarme mucho más. Yo no puedo dejar de concentrarme en cosas nuevas, en cosas más difíciles. Y es por ese motivo que son en blanco y negro, para que el color no distraiga y cuando el observador se fije más en lo que son las sombras y las luces, en la musculatura, cómo marca la musculatura, y en la composición. No se fije tanto en el azul del cielo y qué bonito es el azul del agua, qué bonito es el bañador, y se centren en lo que a mí me interesa.
And the final question for you today, I just wanted to ask you, and once again, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today, a very personal story. But I wanted to ask you, what does photography mean to you?
Just now is almost everything. Because I can read, todavía no puedo leer siquiera novelas. Sin embargo, sí he leído sobre fotografía y puedo mantener una lectura cuando estudio fotografía. Cuando hago fotografía, o sea, es un poco como si, al ser mi terapia, es como si el cerebro me está permitiendo abrirme también al tema de poder leer y abrir un poco más mi cerebro. Unos años yo no podía hablar siquiera, o sea, era imposible, no tenía vocabulario, nada, cero. Yo salía y no hablaba, me encontraba con la gente y no hablaba, porque no me salían las palabras siquiera. Sin embargo, ahora soy capaz de dar una charla sobre fotografía de 12 horas tranquilamente, yo hablar me gusta. O sea, ahora mismo es como el centro, ¿no? Mis planes siempre son mis objetivos fotográficos, siempre. Todo lo demás, a mí me dices, vamos de vacaciones a un hotel 24 horas, de esto es todo pagado, en Punta Cana, y te digo, yo no voy, ¿entiendes? Para mí tiene que haber otro tipo de estimulación para hacerlo.
We are so fortunate that you found photography as your language to be able to express yourself to us, because our world, through your photographs and through your story, is so much richer for it. So I just wanted to thank you again for taking the time. Muchas gracias por su tiempo hoy. Y espero encontrarle a usted en Barcelona algún día. Thank you more than anything for your humanity, for your photographs, for your sensitivity, and for being so willing to share your story with us. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Gracias, George. Serás bienvenido a Barcelona cuando vengas. Gracias a todos.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Wow. It's amazing to witness Pilar's transformation and her sensibility expressed through her photographs. The world of photography is richer for her contributions. But above all that, it takes courage to share her very personal story so openly with us. I think that she truly believes in the power of photography to help people who struggle with mental health. And if that might be you or someone you know, she's a shining example of what you can do too. The next person I want to introduce you to is Yolanda Husky, who hails from New York. Yolanda's mother struggled with addiction and was not very present in her life. So her great aunt Weezy became a mother to her and showed her what love and compassion were all about. When Weezy passed away, Yolanda realized that she didn't have many photographs of her family and recognized the importance of documenting our families and friends. Have you stopped to think about making more photographs of your loved ones while you can? I'm sure that you have. With this motivation as her catalyst, she set out to show the Black community that they matter, that everybody has layers. For example, that you can love both rap and literature, and that identity is not defined by just one thing. And so she continues to push her craft with a mantra to not be afraid to fail, because it is worse to not have tried at all. She lives by the credo that if you want it, you can have it. And what an empowering mindset that is. Wanting to hear more about her inspiring story, I traveled to New York to meet her in person. And for me, New York was where I was living in 2014, when I was so inspired by photography that I chose to turn in my necktie for a camera strap. So whenever I go back there, I take a few moments to reflect on my path that began from there. I hope you enjoy this interview with Yolanda in Brooklyn, New York. So tell me, Brooklyn and East New York and this area, what does it mean to you?
Yeah, so I grew up in the projects in East New York. And as someone who comes from this environment and understands that people who typically come from this environment are kind of prejudged, it's kind of my personal mission in my photography to highlight these communities and celebrate them. It's important to understand that the environment that you come from, although it is a part of who you are, it is not the totality of who you are. And these people have many layers and sides of them that you don't often see or care to know about because of where they come from.
I love that, the multi-layered identity. I've heard you mention before that you can love rap and literature.
Yeah.
I think that's a wonderful example. Well, I think for those people who look at your work in particular, they can see a multi-layered identity there too. I think there's the very touching sensitivity that you have to your work, but there's also this power, empowerment, and courage and everything that comes through too. Would you say that's kind of a fair assessment of what you're trying to do?
Yeah, I think so. And I think why people identify with my story and my work is that I take pride, like extreme pride in where I came from. I love like the quote unquote ghetto culture that I come from, but those things are not typically embraced in like mainstream media. And so I think like me being proud of where I come from and kind of normalizing like this identity or variations of this identity, and also like having other layers to me makes it like acceptable for other people to kind of like live in their own truth. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Okay, that's wonderful. Talking about identity and the community and so on. I know that there was a person in your life who was a big part, not just of your life, but also the community and so on. And her name was Weezy.
Yes.
And could you tell us a little bit about her?
Yes, so Weezy was my adoptive mother, but I refer to her as my mom. And she raised me and adopted me from an infant. So she kind of is like responsible for me being the person that I am today. And she was like my first example of love and how to love and kind of how to approach the world with an open heart. So I think I have so much like compassion for people and stories because of my own story, but also because of the woman that like kind of raised me and molded me and like taught me to be fearless and taught me to like love who I was and to dream big. So I very much attribute all that I am to that woman specifically.
And she passed when you were 19, is that right?
Yes. So she always had struggles with her personal health, and it wasn't until my first year of college she got really sick, and then she passed away. There were like many years where I was just like, I don't know what to do. I was like, I don't know what to do, but I know that this person is like extremely important to me. And I remember randomly, like one year, I was just trying to look back at our life. Like I had the memories, but I wanted like the tangible like evidence that she kind of existed and she was here. And then I tried to look back at old photos and I realized like we didn't really have photos growing up. We weren't a family that like kind of like kept cameras around and like documented all of our experiences. We kind of didn't do that. And that kind of sparked something in me to kind of change the narrative and provide that for other people because that kind of was like taken away from me because we didn't know. And I have the knowledge now, and so I became a documenter of people and their stories.
If she were here today, like looking at you, Yolanda, the photographer, and this community builder, what do you think she would say to you?
Well, it's funny because she called me Landa. And I think she would be proud and she would say, the sky's the limit, keep going. And she would just tell me to keep moving the boulder forward.
Keep moving the boulder forward.
The boulder.
That's good, that's very good. We have a Sisyphus reference right here in our conversation. Wasn't expecting that one. But yes, so like if I fast forward, I was in New York over here and I took my first photography lesson in Brooklyn and it was 2014 and I'd been on, Wall Street at this point and I just thought I have to do something different with my life. Like I have to do something that was meaningful, you know, to go outside, to be involved with people and so on, and not, you know, just go to the office every day. And then, you know, I quit. And there were so many times I just wanted to, you know, stop and think, am I crazy? Am I doing, you know, something nuts? And what I kept coming back to was what you said. It's better to try and fail at that than to not try at all.
Yeah.
One of my other favorite quotes of yours is that you've mentioned, if you want it, you can have it. And my question to you is, what do you want next?
What do I want next?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I want to continue to document the Black experience, absolutely. I want to do a solo show because I believe that like Black people are not monolithic. So there are many different identities that we have. And so I'm interested in like finding different groups and communities that kind of like have a non-traditional or common like experience. So like one of the projects that I'm working on right now is like researching like Black equestrians because I'm fascinated with the community and I like finding like stories like that to kind of highlight, to kind of again show that like multidimensionality like through the identity and the experience. So I'm excited to dive deeper into stories like that.
You're already off to this amazing start to your photographic career, and it's been wonderful to get to know you and to have this conversation with you today. So thank you again for taking the time.
Thank you.
It was really nice to meet you. Meeting Yolanda was an important opportunity for us to think about community and identity. I also love that in her work we can see the sensitivity not only of her thoughts for her community, but also we can see her passion, her courage, her strive to go forward. She talked about it's more important to try and fail than to not try at all. When I look back and I decided to quit my career as a trader and become a photographer, I thought the same thing. Photography has the power to change your life. So this building over here is the Helmsley building, and it was the last place I worked at the tail end of my Wall Street career. So I know that, you know, now I found my calling, and I'm glad that I made that change because, you know, it's coming back here. This isn't me. I enjoyed it, and I'm grateful for the time I had in it, but it's not me. To pick up where I was before, coming back here, reflecting on 8 years, but knowing that it's still only the beginning, but also knowing that it's so fulfilling and it's so different being back here. So far, we've checked in with Barcelona and New York. Now let's spin the globe all the way to Asia. Sam Lau is a composer and musician based in Malaysia. He not only writes and teaches music, but he's a multi-talented performer who plays drums, keyboard, guitar, and more. Even though he's in such a creative line of work, Sam felt the need to get away from time to time, and nature was his outlet. He would make photographs with his smartphone, but felt a need to go deeper. A friend introduced him to mirrorless cameras, and he was immediately hooked. He was so hooked, in fact, that he acquired all the XT cameras and more. That's an incredible feat in itself. Having dabbled in a bit of music in my youth as well, I'm curious to hear Sam's insights on the relationship between music and photography and how they manifest themselves in each other. And Sam is joining us live today online. Hi, Sam.
Hi, George. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing fine as well. Thanks.
Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today.
Yeah, you're most welcome.
I just wanted to ask you, a lot of photographers, I think they get their start in photography through the influence of a parent. I believe in your case, your father played a significant role in your discovery of photography. Would you tell us about that?
Yes, I think it started way back when I was a kid, and seeing my father playing with the camera and stuff like that, it didn't really caught my attention to, to try photography until during COVID time. So because I see some of the pictures that he take that are really impressive, and it caught my attention. So that's why I think that kind of imprinted something about photography in my mind for a very, very long time. During the end of the pandemic, things are a little bit better for us in Malaysia, so we could actually go out and do some photography here and there. So my thought was it would be great to really spend some time with my dad, since the pandemic really gave us a lot of time to think of what we should prioritize in life and who we should prioritize in life. So it was a good time to really connect with my dad, and to even introduce him to the newer system of digital cameras nowadays.
Right, that's a very heartwarming story. I wanted to ask you though, as someone, I dabbled a little bit in music when I was growing up as well. My mother was a piano teacher and so on. But I was not destined to become a musician. I lacked the talent for it severely. But I find it very remarkable to achieve a high level in two very distinct creative fields. For you to do so in music and then in photography, I think is a remarkable achievement. What can you attribute that to in terms of your background, and what do you think it is that makes you able to be such a high achiever in both?
I think it's mainly the point of how I look at life, the things that I perceive, the things that I see. Because to me, photography and music, they have pretty much a lot of similarities in terms of how we think, in terms of how we express, and how we interpret as well. Like for music, there are so many genres of different types of music that people use to express. In photography, there are so many types of color tones, there are so many different times throughout the days that we can actually capture different types of feel and mood of the photograph. So I think that's how I apply the same concept in music that I see, like how should I express my feelings through a certain a particular music, or a certain type of chord, or certain kind of instruments, and that's the same thing I approach photography. So for me to be able to start to understand a little bit on aperture, ISO, shutter speed, and going out in different times and understanding the various timings that the effects that they give. So I think that somehow connects me to photography in that way though.
When it comes to your ability to produce music, whether it's composing a piece or performing or so on, I know you're quite discerning with your tools in terms of what you work with. I saw one of your guitars on your Reflections piece, and clearly you care very much about your equipment. Does the same apply for your photography as well?
Yeah, as well, you mentioned that I'm actually a very geeky kind of person when it comes to the equipments that I use. I'm very particular about the quality of the instruments that I use, and so whatever that works well for me at a particular situation, I think that's what I go for. So that translates to the photography gears that I use as well. Yeah, so I also, if you can see from behind that, I started collecting a lot of different lenses, so that for different occasion, I use different lenses and even different bodies.
And since then, it has just grown into a collection that is the envy of every gearhead, I think, that that's out there.
Yeah.
You have some of those deer pieces from your collection behind you there, I think. Are there some favorites that you have there?
Currently, I would say this would be my favorite though.
Wow.
The new 150 to 600 mm. Yeah, so now since I got it, this is one of my favorite pieces for budding. Yeah, pair together with the XH2 and of course the XH2S as well.
Absolutely. I mean, it's an incredible lens. I've had the good fortune of being able to try it out as well. Well, thank you for all of this today, Sam. I just wanted to ask you one last question. You know, coming from your background in music and everything, what has photography brought to you and how has it enriched your life?
I should say, since I started this photography journey with Fujifilm, I was able to meet with different people that really are interesting, different walks of life, to understand how they look in their perspective in daily lives, you know. And also, the thing that really brings me joy was to be able to capture that special moment, to be able to keep it, to be able to bring it out in the near future, look at it, and think back about the memories that we have. Because, you know, as we know that we cannot go back in time. So the only thing that can freeze time is a piece of a photo, something that we can remember as we look at it. And I think that's a very powerful tool for us to be able to capture the memories and to relive the memories through the pictures that we have taken.
Thank you, Sam, for sharing your insights, your thoughts about photography and about music and life with us today.
You're most welcome, George.
Take care. I'll speak to you soon.
Okay, speak to you soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye. I'm envious of Sam's ability to be multi-talented across creative fields, but I also appreciate his relationship with his father, who introduced him to photography. There's also something for us to think about with our photography, like the music that flows through daily life, and how becoming aware of that can add depth to our work. And of course, for the gearheads out there, Sam's got quite the collection. Next, we'll take a short trip east from Malaysia to the Philippines. Fhaye, or Miss Fhaye to her students, is a high school teacher. Fhaye dreamed of being a photographer, but her family's financial circumstances led her to take a more practical path toward becoming a teacher. But as an only child, photography always spoke to her because it allowed her to photograph the happiness of others. Even as a working teacher, she continued with her love of photography, making portraits of her students. She joined local photography groups in order to pick up techniques and tips and be part of the community. There, she found like-minded people who became like family to her. In the process, she found her voice as a photographer, which portrays a fairy tale-like world around her subjects and conveys a reverence for the people she photographs. Let's meet Fhaye and hear her story in her own words. Hi, Fhaye.
Hi, George.
How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you for taking time out of your day to meet with us today.
Yes, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. So I wanted to begin by asking you a little bit about your background and how you became a teacher even though you were passionate about photography. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
When the time that I knew that I won't get to pursue photography in college, it made me really sad, but this is the reality. We don't have enough money for me to study in a big university and take courses related to photography. We couldn't even buy a second-hand camera back then, so I enrolled in a state university here in the Philippines and I took up education. During college, I still have that passion in taking photos. I borrow my friend's camera to take some photos in school, cover some events, and sometimes I take photos of my classmates. I know in my heart that photography will always be here. I still get to pursue my passion. And just a little update, I am now working as a full-time photographer when we filmed the reflection project, so I am a teacher back then.
Wow, that's a big update. Thank you for letting us know. But how many years did you teach for in school?
I've been in teaching for almost 9 years.
Right. And then you talked about your skills from teaching, building your communication skills and things like that. I know that community and family and so on play a large role in your life, especially with photography. Could you talk a little bit about the role that community plays in your photographic life?
So I used to be the admin of a photography group here in the Philippines. It's XA10 Club Philippines and XT100 Club Philippines. We usually do photo walks and the workshops with the help of Fujifilm Philippines.
Mm-hmm. And when you were a part of these groups or you were running the admin, I mean, were there a lot of members for these groups?
Yeah, for XT100 we have like 7,000.
Wow.
Then for XA10, I think 8,000.
Wow. So you were part of a community of over 15,000 photographers.
Yes.
That's incredible. And I think that community continues to play an important role for photographers these days. Could you expand a little bit on your thoughts about why it matters, especially in the way things have been in the last few years in the world?
Being with like-minded individuals made me feel energized and inspired, as we tend to share ideas that sparks creativity that can help me a better photographer.
What future directions do you hope to take your own photography?
So in the next years, so I want to expand and branch out, or multiple branches of my studio. Then I also want to conduct seminars and workshops, and I also want to go back to teaching, not just inside the classroom, but I want to teach photography with teens. I want to focus on teens because when I started photography, I think I'm at 25 years old that time. So I think for me, it's too late.
Too late? Oh my gosh.
How about you?
It's never too late. I didn't jump in full time into wanting to study and learn photography until I was 34. So I hope it's not too late at 25, because then I'm really late. No, I don't think that's the case at all. I think photography is for everybody. Photography is for all ages. It's not ever too late to pick up a camera and start photography, I think. So you're still very much on time, I would say. We'll all be looking forward to seeing your new work coming out over the coming years. And in addition, we'll watch for what you're doing with all your workshops and mentoring young people. Think that it's really a wonderful thing that you're doing. So thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you, George.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
It was really nice speaking to you. Have a good afternoon. It was wonderful to learn how connected Fhaye is to her community. I think that in the present era, creatives shouldn't have to go it alone, and that helping each other, inspiring each other is the way forward. And I say that to you as somewhat of an introvert who enjoys the solitude of the act of shouting out the world beyond the viewfinder. But nowadays there are many ways to build a community, and that opens possibilities for all of us. The other big takeaway for me was that Fhaye temporarily gave up her dreams for practical reasons, but she came back to it. You can achieve your dreams even if it takes a little extra time to get there. That's an important thing to remember if your path seems to take a detour. It's okay, and you have plenty of time to get there, so don't give up. Let's change locations before we meet our next guest. Here we are in the Fujifilm showroom in Japan. Our next guest also has an inspirational story to share with us. His name is Emilio Aparicio Rodriguez. In Colombia, when you turn 18, you have military service that's required. In 2007, Emilio found himself in the armed forces on a UN peacekeeping mission in Egypt. There he experienced a vastly different world from home, a land of camels and pyramids and desert. He wanted to document his travels to share with his family and friends back home, and in his words, he began shooting with a camera, not a gun. Having caught the bug, he decided to travel around the world for his own personal growth, and he took with him an X Pro 2. Over the coming months and years, he traveled to 14 countries and experienced many memorable moments both photographically and personally. But like with any hero's journey, unexpected obstacles emerge, and Emilio's story is no exception. Rather than hearing it from me, let's have Emilio himself recap his tale. Best of all, he is here in person, all the way from Bogota. Emilio, bienvenido.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we also have another special guest. We have Yagazie from Fujifilm. Yuji, thank you for coming.
Nice to see you, George.
Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you, Emilio.
Nice to meet you, Yuji.
Please take a seat.
Thank you.
Emilio, could you please introduce yourself to our viewers?
I'm Emilio. I live in Bogota, Colombia, in the capital. And I've been working as a photographer for almost 13 years and with Fujifilm for almost 10 years.
Wonderful. And this is your first time in Japan?
Yes, it is. It's my first time here in this beautiful country.
Was it different from what you imagined, or was it like what you thought it was going to be like?
The culture is something beautiful. Like everything is well organized. The people, they're so kind, and it's kind of magical to be here.
Great.
Travel has an important part, I think, in your story with photography. Could you tell us a little bit about your origins with travel? And I believe you were in Egypt in 2007 or 8, is that right?
Yes, I was lucky enough to visit Egypt when I was almost 18 years old. And since that, I've been always with a camera on my hands. Egypt opened my mind to discover that the world is huge. It has different type of stories, different type of cultures, people. I just felt in love on the trips, on traveling, and discovering new places and new areas all around the globe.
That's wonderful. And speaking of sharing memories and so on, you have these wonderful diaries, is that right? Where you document your travels, and tell us a little bit about these.
With the time, I started making these kind of journals or diaries. I don't know, just like my personal networks at some point. But I started to put some, for example, Instax pictures, print them, and write just like my feelings, my memories, draw. I'm not the best artist, but I do my best in order to...
You drew that?
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
Like chameleon in Kenya. So with the time, this kind of yes. With the time, I started to develop this kind of notebooks by my own in order to share memories and keep it for the rest of my life.
Tell us about the Himalayas and what happened to you.
It was in 2020 when I decided to visit the Himalayas. I was living in a small village called Kiver up in the north of India. And in a moment, I just disconnected from the whole world for 1 month. There's a pandemic, something called COVID-19 all around the world. And I was like, what is that? I didn't know, it was kind of crazy. And at the end, I had to return back to the capital of India, New Delhi, in order to be safe and just to tell my parents that I was okay on that moment.
But there was more in that you couldn't get home.
The government told us you have only 3 days to confirm if you would like to travel. To get that place on a plane. It was very expensive. I will start selling my pictures. Those pictures from above 25,000 pictures, I selected only 25, which is a very hard work. You have to edit and be very objective at some point in order to get the best shots. And I start selling them through my social media. And I was very impressed and lucky because a lot of people, almost 160 people, helped me to buy the pictures. Nowadays, some of those pictures are all around Colombia and in few countries. But that helped me to feel more confident about myself, that people also would like to have a part of these journals, of these stories. So photography opened me again a door, and it told me just be confident about your job and your passion. Nowadays it's hard, but you were able to return back to Colombia due to the images that I took during the last years.
That's an amazing story. I'm glad you didn't think of selling your Pro 2s.
Wow, no. I think I will keep them. I will keep them for sure. They're part of my life right now.
Speaking of doors that have opened, what kind of doors has photography opened for you in your life?
I think the most important door that I have opened is the heart of the people. Learn about being humble, learn about realities all around the world. Those doors are always in front of you, and sometimes you don't know how to open them, but they're just there. Just knock the door and open it. Not everyone has this kind of opportunities, and to live from photography, it's something that has gave me a lot of important things, not only as a professional, but more as a human being.
Well, look at these. Your well-loved cameras, for sure. Do you want to tell us a little bit about these?
It's just a perfect complement. That equipment that you just want to bring everywhere. First of all, because they're like light, spend the whole day just walking, and then once you need your camera, you can make some photographs. They're so durable, really strong. I've been used maybe that
this
body.
one, yeah, look at this.
In the Amazon jungles in Colombia, in the glaciers of Mount Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
Even in the Himalayas, under minus 30 degrees, it's just like a part of my body.
It is kind of like a signature. It's your signature, right? Because you've been carrying it for the whole time, and the body tells that. So if you have like so many Pro 2s, you can always recognize your camera because you've carried it and it has unique, the scratches.
What is in your future in terms of projects and things you're working on?
Recently, I did a job, or just a personal project, about glaciers in Colombia. Unfortunately, due to climate change and global warming, they're disappearing, and we have tropical glaciers in Colombia. So they melt faster than the other glaciers in the world. So to try to do these kind of projects will help me to understand what's my purpose here in life as well. I don't want to be far away from social projects, so I will do my best, and definitely I'll come back to Japan.
Thank you again for taking the time out of your journey here to Japan. And next time we can take our cameras and go out and photograph some places together. How does that sound?
Thank you very much, George.
All right.
It has been an honor to be here. Thank you, Fujifilm, for this beautiful project called Reflections. And that's what we have to do, just be conscious about what we are doing and loving with this type of cameras.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. And thank you, Yuji, for your time.
Yuji, thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
And that's a wrap.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is my reflection project about Japan, my first time in this beautiful and amazing country. And we took some trains and reached during a rainy morning Zenzoji Temple. I was amazed and surprised by the size of the gates and the red colors with that beautiful architecture. Then we just took another train to the fish market, visited some other areas and shrines. That's unagi. It's a beautiful animal, but also an amazing and well-prepared dish here in Japan. Buildings and so modern architecture. Shibuya was crazy. Of course, being there, it's just massive, a lot of movement, people going, crossing from right to left, left to right in front of you. And it's so dynamic, it's beautiful. I did my best in order to have these kanjis and characters here in Japan. And I just took a bullet train to Kyoto and more cities. This was beautiful. I will do my best to come back in order to visit these areas. And it was fantastic. It was a really crazy helicopter ride all around Tokyo, and it's different when you just see the city from the ground, and once you have the chance to see it from the top or above, it's crazy. Tokyo is huge, it's so nice. To be with a camera here in Tokyo means that you want to take photographs of everything, but that will be in the near future to come back and discover more. It's just a door that I already said that it's starting to open. There's a quote that I always apply, and it's dream big. Don't dream normal, dream big, because that kind of things can become real. And pursue your dreams with power, with love, with passions, being constant, working hard, and then you will see what the world is going to give you. Photography is everything for me, and I will do it till the end of my life.
Well, it's been wonderful to introduce these inspirational people and share their stories with you. But don't go just yet. We have one more very special guest to introduce to you. Her name is Yagazie Egware, and she's from Nigeria. She, like others, was introduced to photography by her parents, but there was a twist. Her parents wanted her to become an eye doctor, and Yagazie wanted to pursue her passion and become a photographer because that was what made her so happy. While she was working as an optometrist, she started learning photography on the side, and to practice, she began making portraits of her colleagues. Yagazie's photographs impressed her co-workers so much it was evident that she had a talent from the very beginning. But it was also eye-opening for her that it took a photograph for her colleague to see her own beauty the way Yagazie saw it. This was an epiphany for her, that not only could she love making something like a photograph, but that this would also impact other people and their lives in profound ways. But it was not easy to convince her parents that she was not going to be a doctor and would instead pursue a career in photography. Along the way, there was another moment of reflection for her, where she got married and became a mother. She needed to understand why she was doing what she was doing and maintain her love for photography. At that time, a friend of hers introduced her to a Fujifilm camera, and she felt connected with it right away. She was back to being, in her words, a girl in love with photography again. Her renewed enthusiasm for photography led her to creating the Diaries project, which linked her personal goals with the lives of other women. She became a storyteller for women who are succeeding in various fields, but have not had their stories told. Yagazie's helping to amplify their stories and inspire others, and it's an honor to welcome her as our final guest on this program. And we have Yagazie joining us live today, online, all the way from Nigeria. Hello, Yagazie.
Hello. Hi, George.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Very excited to be here.
Well, thank you for joining us today. We're excited to have you and to be able to have this conversation with you.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to speak to you a little bit about your career and the kind of photography that you do. Would you tell us a little bit about that?
Hi, George. So, as you already know, my name is Yagazie. I am a portrait and documentary photographer. I've been a photographer now for over 10 years this year. What I primarily do is I create images of people, especially women, that amplifies their true essence and just empowers and inspires them to be more of who they are. Yeah.
This prior career, you were, an eye doctor, is that right? Or you were studying to become an eye doctor, you're an optometrist.
Yes. So, I studied to be an optometrist. I loved it, right? I was really good at it, and my parents loved it. In Nigeria, it's parents, there is this idea, there is this brag right that you have when you have to say, oh, my daughter is a doctor, lawyer, engineer. So But even at the time, I had sort of stumbled into photography. I had a point and shoot camera. I was just doing it for the love of it because I really just loved it. And I just loved people. I just loved interacting with people. So for my parents, for my dad, it was a bit hard for him to take, because he would say for very good reasons, because obviously every parent wants their children to be successful and to be well taken care of. So he would just say, I know that you love this thing, but I think you can do it at weekends. And then I would think, well, I really want to be able to go to the height of my career. And if I'm chasing two different things at the same time, I'm not sure how that is going to work, because I don't just want to be average in two things, right? And, and just keep running around. I stopped working and then I went into photography full time. I would tell my dad that, that I'm still trying to get a job. But I remember the day that I told him, I told him I wasn't going to get a job anymore, that this is what I wanted to do. And and I know that it was hard. But what I really need was his support, and that I'm going to put my everything into this. And I believe that, I'm going to be able to change the lives of people through it.
I see those core principles coming through in your images, in your photographs. But in particular, I wanted to hone in on that aspect about empowering people, especially women. And I know you have a project that you care about very much.
Yeah.
So could you tell us about your Dare to Rise project?
When I was thinking about the project, it just made me realize that, as human beings and, especially women, we go through different seasons in our lives. And as much as there are those women who have become successful in their careers, when they're 40s, 50s, 60s. And then I imagine that, this person did not just go from dreaming this and being that, right? There is a story that went through that process. And, I want to know about this story. I want to be able to connect people in two generations so that someone, when they're 20s and 30s and they're going through something, they can, see themselves in the lives of someone else who had gone through it and, and the person became successful. So I went on this quest to just document, create images of these incredible, really successful women, in Nigeria, and also create video documentaries of them, where they really share their story and, share their experiences where they had to dare, to rise, and how the journey has been for them, and, a lot of these life lessons.
So I'll ask you this.
Yes.
Now that you're 8-9 years into this, how do your parents feel about your career now and what you've chosen to do with your life?
They're very happy, and they're also very proud of the progress that I have made and the success that I've had in this past years. And also more so because of the way that I have sort of transitioned this journey. So they're seeing it unveiling and seeing that, there can be so much more to this, more than what we thought it was. We thought it was just hold a camera and take a picture. Photography is not just pictures. Right. This is an incredible gift, to the world. And we must, continuously, do it the best way that we can. Yeah.
And I'll just end with this. Okay, so you're 8, 9, almost 10 years into your journey. So 10 years from now.
This is my 10th year. Yeah. This year
so 10 years from now, where do you see yourself?
10 years from now, I see myself doing a whole lot more projects, and also really empowering more women, empowering more people, impacting more people, and falling more and more and more in love with, photography, and using it as a tool to also empower the younger generation of, photographers, in Nigeria and in Africa, and, helping them, equipping them with what they need to build successful businesses, create more meaningful work and impact the lives of other people.
Well, wonderful. No doubt you'll be a shining beacon of inspiration to all of them. Thank you again for taking the time today. Really appreciate having this conversation with you.
I have enjoyed this.
All right. Take care, Yagazie. It was very nice speaking to you.
Thank you. Same here. Thank you so much,
All right,
George.
take
It's
care.
been lovely
Bye.
talking with you,
Okay.
and I look forward to connecting more.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye. Wow, I've received so much courage from Yagazie's story, and I hope you have too. The path to achieving our dreams is not linear, and there are many things we have to overcome along the way. But when passion and talent align, they make for a powerful combination. And photography is a vehicle to convey that passion and talent to a wider audience, because it is a medium that can transcend language barriers and the written word. And so I believe that photographs will remain not only relevant, but vital in our lives. Contrary to what you may have heard, photography is far from dead and is as vibrant as ever. Moreover, its voices are becoming more and more diverse, and the world is better for it. I feel very fortunate to have been able to speak with and learn from the photographers we have met with today. Each person has a unique story to tell and inspiration to share with us, but there is one thing that unites us all. We are all passionate about photography and its power to make a difference in our lives and in the world around us. Over the course of the past year, 10 stories have been told to commemorate 10 years of X-Mount. Each story is different, but expressed by each photographer in their own words. These short documentary films are viewable online. If you haven't had the chance to watch them yet, I sincerely invite you to do so. In my episode, I mentioned that we have this one chance at life. Of course, we're all under different circumstances, and I know that not everyone's able to pursue a life in photography. But I can tell you that it has made my life so much richer, full of unforgettable moments, stories, laughter, and of course plenty of tears and heartache along the way too. I truly believe that life isn't about being the most successful, but about being fulfilled, and that is what photography has brought to me. At times, especially at my most lonely times during my 3-year journey when I left finance and wandered the world with my camera in hand, photography has been my best friend. And as my forever faithful friend, unflinching and honest, I want to continue to spend the rest of my one chance at life immersed in photography. As this program draws to a close, I would like to say that even if we aren't famous professionals with our names up on the board in lights, we all, that includes you watching from wherever you are, have the ability within us to live a fulfilling life. We just need the desire and passion, and to be ready if we encounter the opportunity. Perhaps next time it will be you in front of the camera telling us your story. Remember what Yolanda said, and believe that if you want it, you can have it. Until next time, take care everyone.
Theo bạn thì một cái tác phẩm đẹp nó là như thế nào? Với cá nhân Tùng á, nó nằm ở cảm xúc. Tùng chọn nhiếp ảnh là cái cách dễ dàng nhất để lưu giữ khoảnh khắc, có thể 5 năm, 10 năm hay thậm chí lâu hơn nữa.
모델의 입장에서 사진을 찍을 때 내가 촬영한다면 이렇게 하지 않을 텐데 뭐 이런 생각을 하면서 촬영하게 되는 것 같아요.
Fotoğraf hobim sayesinde daha çok gözlemleyen, daha çok gezen, daha rahat iletişim kuran ve daha sosyal bir insan oldum.
Somebody I thought was really gorgeous, really beautiful, and I literally saw her in a different way. Didn't see herself that way. It took a picture for me to change her perception of herself.
いろんな意味でその決断をする、今やってる仕事を辞めて他のことをするっていうのはもう本当に勇気が必要なことだと思いますし、やはり一回だけの人生だから。
Lo que te hace es dejar de pensar en aquello que te abruma, en aquello que no te deja ir hacia adelante, ¿no? Entonces te centras en una forma de también de expresarte diferente a la palabra hablada, que es a través de la fotografía.
Siguro kahit saan man ako makarating, talagang parang priority ko talaga yung community ko. Kasi parang kung walang community, wala akong pinanggalingang community, walang Fhaye ngayon sa harapan. Hanggang pagtanda namin siguro, gusto ko magkakasama pa rin kami, magkakaibigan pa rin kami.
abrir un diario y ver una página en blanco es pensar en un nuevo comienzo, en un nuevo proyecto, en un nuevo sueño que sin duda alguna se puede hacer realidad. Pero quiero que la fotografía me siga acompañando durante muchos, muchos años a seguir soñando en grande.
Photography has given me purpose. With the environment that I grew up in, I was like never afraid to be different. I was never afraid to want more, to strive for more. If you want it, you can have it and you can get it, and that's currently what I'm doing.
To me, music and photography is an art that works very closely together far more than we realized. I wish the Fujifilm X series will continue to help people capture their precious memories in the next 10 years to come.